6 bedrooms, a brand new home, under 1.7 in Kailua. I want to show you what a new construction at this price point actually looks like here. Welcome back to Home Tours and Market Intelligence on Oahu. The home in this video is a new construction 6-bedroom in Kailua in the Ko-Olaupoko neighborhood, currently listed around 1.7 million. Before walking through the home, the data behind it tells the more useful story. And that is the part most viewers never get. So let me show you both. What I am doing differently in this video is straightforward. The walkthrough alone will not help you make a decision. The numbers will. So along with the home itself, I'm going to break down the last 12 months of sales, what closed, what sold over asking, what got cut, what is still sitting, and what the market has explicitly told sellers it will not pay. Whether you're buying in Kailua or selling on Oahu, that is where the real intelligence lives. A quick education piece because the structure of this home matters. The listing is a CPR, which stands for Condominium Property Regime. Two separate homes share one underlying lot. Each owner gets fee simple ownership of their own unit, but the land is legally tied to the neighbor. There is no monthly HOA in most setups like this one, but there are shared agreements about the property. In Ko-Olaupoko, traditional detached single-family homes have always traded at a premium compared to CPRs. Not because CPR homes are worse, but because the buyer pool for a shared lot structure is smaller, resale is more layered, and the land math is different. That premium gap is reflected in the asking price for this property, and it is something every buyer and seller in Kailua should understand before negotiating. And because a CPR is structurally different from a traditional home, the due diligence is different too. If you are buying one, the questions you ask need to cover whether there is a recorded CPR declaration on file, how shared maintenance is handled between the two units, who pays for shared driveways or fences, and whether either unit has any restrictions on rentals or remodels. None of these are deal breakers on their own, but you do not want to find them out after closing. A good buyer's agent will pull the documents and walk you through them before you go under contract. A quick overview of the home itself. 2025 construction, 2 stories, just under 2,900 square feet of living space, 6 bedrooms and 3 full bathrooms across both floors. Concrete construction with double wall and slab, the modern Oahu standard, which matters for insurance pricing and long-term resale. The finishes line up with what you would expect from current new construction at this price band. Quartz countertops, vinyl plank flooring in the main living areas, ceramic tile in the wet zones, and split-unit air conditioning in the bedrooms. Central AC is rare in Kailua new builds. It adds significant cost on the install side, and most builders skip it. The water heater, appliances, and roof are all new. A buyer is walking into very little deferred maintenance, which is one of the real values of buying a 2025 build over an older home that needs work. If you want the full sold sheet I am working from, every closing in this neighborhood the last 12 months with price per square foot, days on market, condition notes, and sale to list ratios, email or text me and I will send it over. I track this neighborhood weekly because the pricing dynamics are some of the most interesting on Oahu right now. $597 a square foot. That is the price per foot on this listing, and it is the lowest in the entire neighborhood sold data over the last 12 months. For comparison, recent closings in the neighborhood ran from about $650 a foot on the larger homes, up to over $1,600 a foot on the smaller, tear-down land plays. So the question becomes, why is it the lowest, and does low per foot pricing mean it is a deal? The answer is more nuanced than most buyers expect. In Kailua, smaller homes almost always trade at a higher dollar per square foot than larger ones. The reason is land. When the lot is worth more than the structure on it, adding another 200 square feet of house does not really move the price. A 1,400 square foot teardown can sell for over $1,000 a foot, and a 4,000 square foot luxury home can sell for $600 a foot. And both of those numbers make sense in context. What that means for this listing, the per foot number does not tell you it is underpriced or overpriced. It tells you it is a larger CPR home with shared land, and the structure of the property is doing what the structure of the property does. For sellers in Kailua, the takeaway is to stop benchmarking by per square foot alone. For buyers, the same applies. Always look at the size class, the lot, the land tenure, and the structure type before drawing conclusions from per foot math. Sales pattern next, because the data from the last year is where buyers and sellers can actually learn something. 13 single-family homes closed in Kailua over the past 12 months. 3 sold over asking, 6 sold at exactly list price, 4 sold under asking, with reductions ranging from less than 1% to almost 9% off. The over-asking sales shared a profile. They were either fully renovated on a large lot with clear value or carried something premium like an ADU or owned solar. One recently renovated home sold in 7 days at $20,000 over the list. Another with a pool and guest cottage sold in 20 days at $15,000 over. An ADU property with owned PV sold $5,000 over after 20 days. The market is rewarding move-in condition, accurate pricing, and a clean structural story. The slow lane sales also shared a pattern. One large multi-unit property with a tenant in place sat for 138 days and required $400,000 in total price reductions before closing. A CPR with similar specs to this one took 76 days and needed a $50,000 price cut. The market is not punishing the neighborhood. It is punishing complexity, tenant occupancy, and over-asks. If you are a seller, the lesson is direct. Price accurately on day one, get the property in clean condition, and a deal closes in under 30 days more often than not. Test the market with an aggressive number and watch the same home sell 6 months later for less than you would have gotten in week 1. That is not theoretical. It is measurable in the close data. And the pattern is consistent across the year. The kitchen pulls in light from multiple sides. The cabinetry has a clean, low-profile look that has been showing up across Kailua new construction lately. The counter run gives real working space, which matters in a 6-bedroom home where multiple cooks could end up using it. The refrigerator has a water dispenser, the dishwasher is new, and the layout keeps the cook connected to the living and dining area instead of closed off. The fastest sales in Kailua were homes that hit the market with prices set against current comps, not last year's. The slowest sales were homes where the seller anchored to a number from a year or two prior, before the recent correction. That anchoring is the single most common mistake I see in Kailua sellers, and it costs real money. If you are a buyer, the same data tells you where the leverage lives. Homes that just hit the market in Kailua at accurate prices will move fast and will not negotiate much. Homes that have been sitting are the ones with room for thoughtful offers. 2 more pieces of context that buyers and sellers in Kailua almost never get walked through. The first is tax-assessed value. Every property on Oahu has a public county tax assessment broken into land value and improvement value. For the subject property in this video, the county assesses the land at about $1.045 million and the improvements at around $815,000, for a total of just over $1.86 million. The current list price sits below that combined number. Tax assessment is not the same as market value. It tends to lag the market by a year or two, but it is a county-verified data point that buyers can use as a sanity check. And it is one of the cleanest gut checks for understanding where a property stands on paper before any negotiation begins. Most buyers in Kailua never look at it. They should. The active inventory across Kailua right now looks like this. About 4 single-family homes are actively listed for sale. 1 is under contract and 1 is pending close. That is the entire choice set for someone shopping in this part of Kailua. The asking price range stretches from roughly $1.3 million on the lowest pending listing up to around $4.35 million on the top active home, with most buyer activity concentrated between $1.6 and $2.6 million. Practically, a buyer is choosing from a small handful of properties at any given moment, not dozens. For sellers, that means visibility is naturally high. Every active listing gets seen. There is no crowded market to disappear inside because the market is not crowded. The year-over-year picture is worth knowing too. The 12-month rolling median sale price in this neighborhood is currently down about 8% year-over-year. That tells you the broader correction has already worked through the neighborhood. The market has reset from its prior peak. The new pricing reality has settled in, and a buyer walking in today is buying into a more grounded set of numbers than they would have a year and a half ago. For a seller pricing today, the starting point is already the corrected market, not the old one. The math has changed on both sides of the table. The bedrooms feature window placement that pulls in mountain greenery from the backside of the home. The primary suite has a walk-in closet, a private bathroom with a large shower, and a wide vanity that bounces light through the room. The secondary bedrooms are sized for real use, not the closet with a bed footprint that some new builds offer. The ground floor bedroom with a full bathroom adds real flexibility for multi-generational living, a home office, or a guest setup, and that is an increasingly rare feature in this price band on Oahu. And one quick note for sellers. Across the Kailua sales I track, the first 30 days of a new listing carry the most buyer attention. That window is when the most showings happen and the most offers come in. After that, attention drops sharply. If the asking price matches current comps from day one, the home usually finds its buyer inside that window. Buyers see the same data sellers see. The list price either lines up with where the market is or it does not. Pulling back for a wider view on Oahu. The 12-month median sale price in Ko'olaupoko sits at about $1.745 million. Island-wide, the median for single-family is closer to $1.13. Kailua in this neighborhood runs roughly $600,000 higher than a typical Oahu single-family sale. Days on market in this neighborhood over the trailing 12 months were 18. Island-wide, 23. Months of supply in the neighborhood ran 2.5 months. The full island sat at about 3 7/10. Anything under 3 months is technically a seller's market, meaning more buyers than homes available, and sellers tend to hold negotiating leverage. So Ko'olaupoko has been tighter than the rest of Oahu, while still selling at roughly 100% of list price across the year. What does that mean practically? If you are making an offer in this neighborhood right now, you are likely competing against at least one other buyer on the strongest properties. Offers well below list have a low success rate in this part of Oahu on a clean listing. Above asking offers happen, but only on the homes that have everything dialed in. Knowing where your target home sits in the data tells you what range of offer is realistic. The most recent month or two shows some softening at the edges. The trailing 1-month supply ticked up close to 4 months. The percent of list price dropped slightly below 100. Days on market lengthened a bit. So the trend is still firmly in seller's territory, but the gap between Kailua and the rest of Oahu has narrowed. For buyers, that is a small window opening up. For sellers, it means the days of testing aggressive numbers without a cost are likely behind us. Pulling all of this together, Ko'olaupoko is still running as a seller's market across Kailua, while cooling slightly at the edges. The neighborhood rewards move-in condition, accurate pricing, and clean comp-supported math. Buyers do well by leading with the data and verifying everything against current sales. Sellers do well by pricing into the corrected market, not the prior peak, and letting the first 30 days of a new listing do the heavy lifting. CPR units, like the one in this video, trade differently than traditional detached single-family. That difference is part of why the per-foot math comes out where it does, and it is not a flaw. It is a feature for the right buyer. Bringing the focus back to the home itself. 6 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2025 construction, just under 2,900 square feet of living space on a roughly 5,200 square foot CPR lot, fee simple ownership, currently asking about $1.7 million, $597 per square foot, the lowest per foot price in the neighborhood across the last year of sales and active listings. Tax assessed value sits above the asking price, which is one of those quiet data points worth noting. The outdoor space is more usable than the lot size suggests. The backyard holds a mature coconut palm and enough open ground for a small patio, a hammock, or a barbecue setup. The garage is finished, 400 square feet, with full-size laundry already installed and room left over for storage beyond the cars. The outdoor space off the second floor catches the trade winds and gives a secondary outdoor zone without using ground floor square footage. That kind of upper level outdoor space is part of what makes a two-story Kailua home work. The ground footprint stays open for yard instead of decks. The lot is fenced around most of the perimeter, which matters for pets and privacy. The property sits in Flood Zone X, the lower risk classification, which means flood insurance is not required. A real long-term savings. Total parking covers 3 vehicles between the garage and driveway, which is more useful than it sounds because curbside space in this part of Kailua gets tight. For the price band, the outdoor utility on this property is one of the stronger pieces of the package, and the Kailua climate keeps that footprint useful basically year-round. If you are thinking about buying or selling in Kailua, or anywhere across Oahu, send me a message and we can talk through what your options look like. Whether you are getting ready to list or you are trying to figure out where to make your next move, that conversation is what I do. We are going to look at your situation, your timeline, your numbers, and your goals, and we are going to figure out what actually makes sense for you. No pressure, no commitment. Just real talk about real options. Reach out, my contact information is in the description. I'm Oksana with Island Living Oahu at Keller Williams. Subscribe, I post new tours every week, and I will see you on the next one.